The hardest thing you will ever do in this business is absolutely nothing. It's 10:30 a.m. The morning rush is over. The volume is dried up. The market is drifting, chopping sideways in a tight range. It's dead. You've been sitting there for 2 hours. You haven't taken a trade, and a silence starts to build in the room. For a professional, that silence is peaceful. It's the sound of discipline. But for you, that silence is deafening. It starts as a whisper in the back of your skull. You're wasting time. You need to make back yesterday's loss. Look at that candle. Maybe it's breaking out. A pattern appears. You know it's not your A-plus setup. It's messy. The risk to reward is terrible. It's a C- trade at best. Your logical brain knows you should let it go. But your animal brain is screaming. The itch behind your eyes is unbearable. You need the hit. You need the dopamine release of being in the game. You can't take the silence anymore. You click buy. And the exact second the order fills, before the price even ticks against you, your stomach drops. A wave of heat rises up your neck. You didn't take that trade because you saw opportunity. You took that trade because you couldn't handle the pain of doing nothing. You just betrayed yourself to feed an addiction. And you know exactly how this story ends. If that scenario feels familiar, good. You're in the right place. You're watching this because you are sick of the lies. You've watched the videos promising you 5 hacks for patience. You've read the books that tell you to just be disciplined. And none of it worked, because those are band-aids on a bullet wound. You are here because you know the problem isn't your strategy. You know how to read a chart. The problem is the terrifying gap between knowing what to do, when to do it, and actually doing it when the money's on the line. You don't need more tips. You need an exorcism of your old habits. You need to understand the architecture of your own impatience. Serious wealth requires serious depth. If you can't sit through this video for an examination of your own mind, you will never sit through a trade without panicking. This is the line in the sand. We are going to tear down the psychological structures that force you to overtrade, and we are going to rebuild a mind that is capable of stillness. Let's begin with the root of the infection. Why is waiting so physically painful? It's biology. Your brain is not designed for the financial markets. It hasn't had an upgrade in about 200,000 years. For your ancient ancestors, waiting was dangerous. If you were sitting still on the savannah, you were either starving or you were about to become lunch. Action equaled survival. Movement equaled life. Now, fast forward to today, you sit in front of these screens. When the market goes quiet, your primitive brain interprets that stillness as a threat to your resources. It panics. It dumps adrenaline into your system. It screams at you to do something just to prove you're still alive in the game. You think you're battling a lack of willpower. You aren't. You're battling millions of evolutionary programming that equates stillness with death. When you force a bad trade just to break the silence, you're trying to fight evolution with a mouse click. You will lose that fight every single time. The first step to becoming a master hunter is realizing that your own instincts are the prey. You have to learn to override your own biology. You have to teach your brain that in this new environment, the astral void of the market, stillness is not death. Stillness is the weapon. Quick favor before we continue. Like the video and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds, but it helps this channel a lot. Thank you. Let's continue. Let's talk about the engine that drives almost every forced trade. FOMO, fear of missing out. It's the feeling that the train is leaving the station, and if you don't jump on right now, even if you have to hang off the side by your fingertips, you will be left behind forever. You see a green candle shoot up. You weren't in it. A physical pain hits your gut. You feel stupid. You feel poor. You feel like everyone else in the world is getting rich except you. This is where your logic dies. You stop looking at risk. You stop looking at your rules. You only see the potential profit that you aren't making. But let's deconstruct this fear. FOMO is based on a mathematical lie. It's based on the delusion of hindsight. You look at a chart that already moved without you. Your brain conveniently erases all the uncertainty that existed before the move happened. You tell yourself, it was so obvious, I should have seen it. You are lying to yourself. At the moment that move started, it wasn't obvious. It was a probability, just like everything else. But now that it's history, your brain tricks you into believing it was a certainty that you stupidly missed. So you chase it. You buy at the top of the impulse, and what happens next? The market retraces, because it always does. You bought the FOMO top. Now you are underwater. The fear of missing out turns instantly into the fear of losing. You panic sell. And then the market resumes the original direction without you. You didn't miss the move because you were slow. You missed the move because you were impatient. You let the fear of not having trick you into taking a position that guaranteed you would lose. Where does this intense fear come from? It comes from a scarcity mindset. You trade as if there is a limited amount of money in the market, and if you don't grab yours right now, someone else will take it. You act like this is the last good trade that will ever happen. Think about how ridiculous that is. The financial markets are an infinite ocean of opportunity. Trillions of dollars change hands every single day. There is no scarcity. There is only abundance. If you miss a trade on Tuesday morning, guess what? There will be another one Tuesday afternoon, and 10 more on Wednesday, and 1,000 more next month. The market is not going to run out of setups, but you will run out of capital if you keep treating every mediocre setup like it's your last chance to eat. The amateur trader operates from a place of desperate need. They need this trade to work. They need to be in the market to feel validated. The professional trader operates from a place of abundance. They know the opportunities are endless, but their capital is precious. They protect their chips like a dragon protecting gold. They only expose their capital when the odds are obscenely heavily stacked in their favor. When you truly internalize the abundance of the market, FOMO dies. You don't feel the need to chase a C- trade because you know an A+ trade is inevitable if you just wait. But here is the deeper issue. This is the uncomfortable truth most of you need to hear. You can't wait for your best setup if you don't actually know what your best setup looks like. Sure, you have a vague idea. I like trend pullbacks. I like support bounces. That's not a setup. That's a vague notion. If I woke you up at 3 a.m. and put a gun to your head and said, draw your A+ setup on a napkin right now with every single rule and variation, could you do it? If you hesitated, that's your problem. When your definition of A+ is fuzzy, everything looks like a potential trade. When you are bored and itching for action, your brain will take that vague definition and stretch it to fit whatever garbage price action is happening right now. Well, it's not exactly a pullback, but it kinda looks like one, and I don't want to miss out. You click the button. A sniper doesn't look through their scope and say, well, that kinda looks like a high-value target, maybe I'll take a shot. They have a relentless binary checklist. Is the wind right? Yes, no. Is the distance right? Yes, no. Is the target clearly identified? Yes, no. If any single box is checked no, they do not pull the trigger. They wait. They don't feel FOMO. They feel professional pride in their discipline to not take a subpar shot. Until your A+ setup is defined with that level of binary sniper-like precision, you will never be able to wait for it. You will always be stumbling in the dark, grabbing at shadows. Words have power. The language you use to describe your trading reality dictates your behavior. And the word that is killing your profitability is waiting. I'm just waiting for a setup. I hate waiting. Think about what that word implies. Waiting is passive. It's what you do at the DMV. It's what you do when your flight is delayed. It puts you in a position of helplessness. You are the victim of time, hoping for something external to happen so you can finally act. When you view yourself as someone who is waiting, you feel powerless, and the human brain hates feeling powerless. It will do anything to regain a sense of control, including taking a stupid trade just to feel like you are doing something. Now, look at an apex predator in the wild. Look at a leopard stalking its prey. It might sit motionless for hours, not a muscle twitching. Is that leopard waiting? Is it bored? Is it checking its phone and feeling FOMO because another leopard down the road just caught a gazelle? No, it is in a state of hyper-aggressive focus. It is actively filtering terabytes of sensory data, wind direction, scent, sound, movement. It is calculating probability in real time. It is not passively waiting for something to happen. It is actively creating the conditions for a perfect kill. You must delete the word waiting from your vocabulary. Replace it with stalking. When you are sitting at your desk with flat capital, watching the markets, you are stalking financial opportunity. You are a hunter in the blinds. This reframing changes everything. When you are stalking, stillness is no longer painful boredom. Stillness is your primary weapon. The quieter you are, the more disciplined you remain, the deadlier you become when the moment arrives. Every minute you sit on your hands and refuse to take a C- trade, you are not wasting time. You are exercising your power. You are telling the market, no, you don't get my capital yet. You haven't earned it. You are no longer a victim begging the market for a crumb. You are the authority deciding when to strike. Rejecting a bad trade is an action. It is a powerful, affirmative action. It is you asserting dominance over your own primitive impulses. When you learn to take pride in the trades you don't take, that is when you turn the corner from amateur to professional. To become this hunter, you must learn to exist comfortably in the void. The void is that space between trades. It's the emptiness. It's the silence where the money isn't moving and the dopamine isn't flowing. Most traders are terrified of this space. They fill it with noise, they check Twitter, they watch YouTube videos of other people making money, they stare at a 1-minute chart, hypnotizing themselves into seeing patterns that aren't there just to escape the emptiness. You must learn to make the void your home. You have to get comfortable being bored. You have to embrace the flatness. Trading is not entertainment. If you want entertainment, go to Las Vegas. Go watch a movie. Trading is a business of extracting capital from market inefficiencies, and those inefficiencies do not happen every 5 minutes. If you are sitting at your desk and you are bored, good. That means you aren't lighting your money on fire with forced trades. Boredom is the feeling of your capital being protected. Learn to love the boredom. The boredom is the fertile soil from which the A+ trade grows. If you cannot sit in the silence of your own mind without needing the market to stimulate you, you will never be free. The market will own you, jerking you around by your dopamine receptors until your account is empty. Embrace the void. Become the hunter. Stop waiting and start stalking. We've talked about the mindset. Now we need to talk about the mechanics. Because here is the brutal truth. Willpower is a finite resource. It's like a battery. Every time you resist the urge to check your phone, every time you force yourself to focus, you drain that battery a little bit. By the time a C- trade setup appears on your screen at 11 a.m., your willpower battery might already be running on fumes. Relying on just being disciplined in the heat of the moment is a strategy guaranteed to fail. You cannot trust your in-the-moment self to make the right decision when the dopamine is calling. You need systems that protect you from yourself. You need hard-line protocols that make it physically difficult to take a bad trade. We are going to build walls around your execution button. The first protocol is the physical disconnect. When you are in stalking mode, when there is no active A+ setup imminent, you are not allowed to be in execution position. Your hand should not be resting on the mouse. Your finger should not be hovering over the buy button. You should not be leaning forward into the screen, hypnotized by the ticking price. When you do that, you are priming your body for action. You're telling your brain that a trade is imminent. Push your chair back 2 feet. Physically remove yourself from the immediate strike zone. Fold your arms. Put your hands under your legs if you have to. Create a physical gap between thought and action. This sounds stupidly simple, but that 2 feet of physical space creates critical mental space. When an impulse arises, you have to physically re-engage, scoot the chair in, reach for the mouse. That extra 2 seconds of physical movement breaks the hypnotic loop. It gives your prefrontal cortex, your logical brain, just enough time to step in and say, wait, what are we doing? This isn't it. Don't sit in the cockpit if you aren't cleared for takeoff. The second protocol is the verbal filter. This is non-negotiable. Before you are allowed to click execute on any trade, you must pass it through an auditory gateway. You have to say out loud, to the empty room, to your dog, to the walls, the exact reason this is an A+ setup. Your script is simple. I am taking this trade because, and you must finish that sentence with at least 2 hard, objective facts from your trading plan. Not feelings, not it looks good, facts. I am taking this trade because price has rejected the daily support level with a bullish engulfing candle and my RSI indicator is showing bullish divergence. If you feel stupid saying it out loud, if you stutter, if you have to search for the words, if your voice sounds unsure, guess what? Your subconscious already knows it's a trash trade. Hearing your own voice say something stupid is a powerful wake-up call. When it's just a thought in your head, you can rationalize anything, but when you speak it into the physical world, the bullshit becomes obvious. If you cannot articulate the setup clearly to the air, you have no business committing your hard-earned capital to the market. Speak your trade into existence before you click it into existence. We have spent the last 15 minutes dissecting the mindset. We've torn down the biological imperatives that make you itch for action. We've exposed the mathematical lie of FOMO. We've reframed your entire identity from a passive waiter to an active hunter. But mindset alone is not enough. Mindset is the software. Now we need to talk about the hardware. We need to talk about the physical reality of you, sitting in a chair with a device in front of you that can empty your bank account with a single twitch of a finger. Most aspiring traders operate under a devastating delusion. They believe that the key to success is having ironclad willpower. They think that one day they will wake up and simply be disciplined. They believe that in the heat of the moment, when the market is ripping, candles are flashing, and the money is on the table, they will be able to summon the mental fortitude to just say no to a bad trade. This is the great lie of trading psychology. Willpower is not a character trait. It is a biological resource. It is a fuel tank. And every single decision you make throughout your day drains that tank. Did you choose the healthy breakfast over the donut? Drain. Did you force yourself to go to the gym when you were tired? Drain. Did you bite your tongue when your boss said something stupid? Drain. By the time you sit down at your trading desk at 9:30 a.m., your willpower battery might already be at 60%. Then the market opens. It's chaotic. You have to process hundreds of data points per second. You have to regulate your fear. You have to regulate your greed. Every second you spend staring at a ticking chart, resisting the urge to click, you are burning through that mental fuel at an alarming rate. Come 11 a.m., the market slows down. You're tired. Your mental defenses are lowered. And that is exactly when the market presents you with a mediocre C- setup. It's not quite right. The volume isn't there. It's running into resistance. But it's moving green. Your logical brain, the prefrontal cortex, the part that knows your rules, is exhausted. It's asleep at the wheel. Your primitive emotional brain, the amygdala, sees the movement, sees the potential dopamine hit, and it hijacks the controls. Relying on willpower in that moment is like trying to stop a freight train with a piece of paper. It will fail you. And when it does, you won't just lose money. You will lose trust in yourself. You will spiral into shame, telling yourself you're just not disciplined enough, reinforcing the identity of a loser. You don't need more willpower. You need better architecture. You need to build a physical and procedural fortress around your execution button that is so robust that even your stupidest, most impulsive self cannot easily breach it. We are going to design a cockpit where it is physically difficult to crash the plane. The first protocol is about physical space. We call it the architecture of stillness. Look at your current posture when you are watching the market. Where are your hands? Where is your body? If you are like 99% of struggling traders, you are leaning forward. Your nose is practically touching the monitor. Your right hand is clamped onto the mouse like a lifeline. Your index finger is hovering, twitching right over the buy button. You are coiled tight, a loaded spring waiting to snap. You think this posture means you are focused. It doesn't. This posture means you are desperate. Your body language is screaming to your brain, "We are about to act. Get ready." Your brain responds by dumping adrenaline and cortisol into your system. You are physically priming yourself for an impulsive decision. You are in the engagement zone when there is nothing to engage with. When a mediocre setup flashes on the screen, the physical pathway to execution is almost zero. It takes milliseconds for that twitching finger to depress the button. There is no time for a second thought. We have to break this physical circuit. From this moment on, you have a new rule. It is binary. It is absolute. Rule: unless there is an active, confirmed A+ setup on your screen that meets every single one of your criteria, you are forbidden from being in the engagement zone. What does this look like practically? It means when you are in stalking mode, your hand is not on the mouse. Period. Move the mouse to the other side of the desk if you have to. Your posture must change. Push your chair back, not an inch. Push it back 2 full feet from the desk. Lean back, cross your arms, interlock your fingers behind your head. Put your hands under your thighs and sit on them. Adopt a posture of relaxation, of observation, of detachment. Why is this so critical? Because that 2 feet of physical space creates a non-negotiable buffer of mental space. Think about what has to happen now when an impulse arises. You see a candle spike. Your primitive brain screams, "Buy." But now you can't just twitch your finger. You have to physically uncross your arms. You have to grab the chair and scoot it forward. You have to reach across the desk and locate the mouse. You have to move the cursor to the buy button. That entire sequence takes maybe 2 or 3 seconds, but those 3 seconds are everything. That physical friction breaks the hypnotic loop between stimulus and response. It's just enough time for your exhausted prefrontal cortex to wake up and say, "Wait a minute, what are we doing? Is this actually it? No, the volume is missing. Sit back down." You are engineering a pause. You are forcing your conscious mind to catch up with your subconscious impulse. You would never see a sniper lying with their finger curled around the trigger unless they had already identified the target, calculated the wind, and made the conscious decision to fire. Until that moment, their finger is straight, resting outside the trigger guard. Your mouse is your trigger. Stop resting your finger on it when you have no intention of shooting. The physical disconnect is the first line of defense, but some impulses are strong enough to overcome even that physical barrier. You need a second wall, a psychological blast door that seals off your execution. This second protocol utilizes a different part of your brain entirely. It forces your internal monologue out into the physical world, where it can be objectively judged. We call it the auditory gateway. Here is the rule. Before you are allowed to click execute on any trade for any reason, you must first speak the justification for that trade out loud to the empty room. This is not a suggestion. This is a mandatory step in your execution sequence. No speech, no trade. And the speech cannot be vague. It cannot be based on feelings. You must follow a precise script. I am taking this trade because... And you must finish that sentence with at least 2, preferably 3, hard, objective, irrefutable facts based on your trading plan. It should sound like a robot is speaking. I am taking this trade because price has pulled back to the 20-period moving average on the 1-hour chart, it has formed a bullish pin bar reversal candle, and the stochastic indicator is crossing up from oversold territory. Fact, fact, fact. Why is this so ridiculously effective at stopping bad trades? Because in the privacy of your own head, you can rationalize anything. Your internal monologue is a master bullshit artist. It whispers things like, "It feels like it's going to go up," or "This looks kind of like that one setup from last week," or "I just need to make a quick $50. Inside your head, those sound like reasonable justifications. But the moment you speak them out loud, the illusion shatters. Imagine sitting in your room and saying out loud, "I am taking this trade because I'm bored and want some action." Or, "I am taking this trade because I missed the last move and I'm angry." When you hear those words hit the air, you immediately recognize them for what they are: stupid, emotional, destructive impulses. You feel ridiculous. The shame of hearing your own incompetence out loud is usually enough to stop your hand from clicking the mouse. This protocol acts as a supreme bullshit filter. If your trade idea is solid, speaking it out loud will feel empowering. It will reinforce your confidence. Your voice will be steady. But if it's a garbage trade, you'll stutter, you'll mumble, you won't be able to find the words. You'll feel silly. Listen to that feeling. That is your subconscious waving a giant red flag. If you cannot articulate your trade clearly to the air, you have absolutely no business committing your capital to the market. Speak your trade into existence before you click it into existence. If the words don't pass the gateway, the order doesn't pass to the broker. The final protocol in this section is about your environment. You cannot expect to maintain sniper-like focus in a circus environment. Waiting for an A+ setup requires a state of low stimulation awareness. You need to be calm, bored, and attentive. Most traders surround themselves with dopamine triggers designed to break that state. Look at your desk right now. Is your phone face up next to your keyboard, flashing notifications from Instagram and Twitter? Do you have Discord open on a side monitor, with hundreds of other struggling traders shouting about random tickers? Are you watching Netflix in a small window while you wait? Every single one of those things is a leak in your discipline. They are microdoses of cheap dopamine that train your brain to constantly seek novelty. When your environment is noisy, your brain gets addicted to the noise. When the noise stops, when the market goes quiet, your brain demands a hit. And the easiest place to get it is by taking a trade. You must create an environment of zero tolerance for distraction. When you are in stalking mode, your phone is not on your desk. It is in another room on silent. Discord is closed. Twitter is closed. YouTube is closed. Your desk is clear. No clutter, no visual noise. It should just be you, the charts, and the silence. This will feel We have built the physical walls. Now we must enter the psychological engine room. We need to talk about your relationship with time. For the average person, time is something to be filled. An hour spent doing nothing is an hour wasted. We are conditioned from birth to equate productivity with activity. If you aren't moving, you aren't working. You bring this conditioning to the markets, and it becomes a lethal poison. You sit down at 9 a.m. By 11 a.m., if you haven't taken a trade, a deep anxiety begins to rot in your gut. You feel unproductive. You feel lazy. You feel like you are failing at your job as a trader. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of what your job actually is. Your job is not to click buttons. A monkey can be trained to click buttons. Your job is not even to trade. Your job is capital preservation and opportunistic extraction. Think of a high-stakes poker player. Do they play every hand just to feel productive? Of course not. They fold 80% of their hands before the flop. They sit there for hours, watching, calculating, doing nothing. Are they wasting time? No. They're gathering information. They're protecting their stack. They're waiting for the moment when the statistical edge tilts violently in their favor. In trading, time spent waiting is not dead time. It is active work. It is the work of discipline. It is the work of filtering noise. Every hour you sit on your hands and refuse to take a subpar setup, you are not losing time. You are buying future profitability. You are paying the toll required to enter the arena of professional trading. You must reframe your definition of productivity. A day where you took 0 trades and lost $0 is infinitely more productive than a day where you forced 3 bad trades and lost $500 just to feel busy. This anxiety about time is usually fueling a deeper, more desperate need, the need to make money today. Maybe you quit your job to trade. Maybe you have bills piling up. Maybe you just need to prove to your spouse or yourself that this isn't a giant waste of time. So you sit down with a daily goal. I need to make $200 today. The moment you set a daily monetary goal, you have already lost. The market does not care about your bills. It does not care about your goals. It does not know you exist. The market will offer what it offers when it offers it. Some days it will offer you thousands. Some days it will offer you nothing. Some days it will demand you pay a tax just for showing up. When you sit down needing to make X dollars by 4 p.m., you are imposing your will on a chaotic system that cannot be controlled. You are creating an artificial pressure cooker. As the day goes on and you haven't hit your goal, the pressure mounts. You stop looking for A-plus setups and start looking for anything that might get you closer to that arbitrary number. You start inventing trades. You start forcing size. You must surrender the need for a daily paycheck. You are not an employee trading time for money. You are a business owner managing risk. A farmer does not wake up and demand that his crops grow 3 inches today because he has a mortgage payment due. He plants the seeds, he tends the soil, and he waits. He understands that the harvest comes in its own time. If there is no A-plus setup today, then your job today is to protect your capital so you are still alive tomorrow when the setup does appear. Accepting a no-trade day is a victory. It is a victory over your own desperate need for validation through profit. And this brings us to the deepest level of the psychological battlefield. The reason you cannot wait, the reason you need to click that button. It's because you have tied your self-worth as a human being to the act of being in a trade. When you are flat, when you are just watching, you feel useless. You feel like a pretender. You feel like you're not a real trader. But the moment you click buy, even on a garbage setup, a rush of identity floods your system. I am doing it. I am a trader. I am in the arena. For a few minutes, until the trade goes against you, you feel validated. You feel worthy. You are using the market as a very expensive therapy session to treat your own feelings of inadequacy. You are paying the market to make you feel like somebody. You must sever this umbilical cord between your self-worth and your mouse click. Your value as a person has absolutely zero correlation with whether you took a trade today. Your identity as a trader is not defined by constant action. It is defined by the quality of your decisions over a long period of time. The best traders I know spend 90% of their time doing absolutely nothing related to placing orders. They are reading, they are researching, they are living their lives. They do not need the market to tell them who they are. When you no longer need the market to validate your existence, you become dangerous. You become untouchable. You can sit there for a week and do nothing, and your ego doesn't take a hit. You are just a professional sniper waiting for a clear shot. And if the shot doesn't present itself, you pack up your gear and go home, perfectly content. Until you can find peace in being flat, you will always be a slave to the next tick. If you have made it this far, you are ready for the final truth. The truth that most people quit trading to avoid. The path to professional trading is not exciting. It is incredibly, agonizingly boring. Hollywood has lied to you. You think trading is shouting on a floor, phones ringing, adrenaline pumping, making millions in seconds. That's not trading. That's gambling. That's entertainment. Real trading, the kind that builds generational wealth, is about as exciting as watching paint dry. It is hours of silence interspersed with seconds of terror and execution. If you were looking for dopamine, if you were looking for a rush, take your money and go to a casino. You'll have more fun and you'll lose it slower. You must learn to not just tolerate boredom, but to embrace it, to love it. Boredom is the feeling of discipline. Boredom is the feeling of your capital being safe. Boredom is the sound of you doing your job correctly. When you are sitting there fighting the urge to click, feeling that itch, reframe it. That discomfort is merely the sensation of your old amateur self dying. It's growing pains. Learn to sit in that fire without reacting. Learn to watch the market gyrations like you are watching fish in an aquarium. They're interesting to look at, but you don't need to jump in the tank with them every time they move. Why go through all this pain? Why fight your own biology, endure the boredom, and restructure your entire environment just to wait for a few trades? Because of the compound interest of patience. Let's look at the math. Trader A takes 5 trades a day. 4 are C- forced trades that lose money or break even. 1 is an A+ setup that makes money. At the end of the day, after commissions and emotional energy expenditure, they are flat or down. They're running on a treadmill, exhausted, getting nowhere. Trader B, the sniper, the stalker, waits all day. They take 0 trades on Monday, 0 on Tuesday. On Wednesday afternoon, their A+ setup appears. They execute perfectly with conviction and size because they have all their mental capital intact. They hit a 3R winner. At the end of the week, Trader B has taken 1 trade and is up significantly. Trader A has taken 25 trades and is down. By waiting, you are not just avoiding losses, you're preserving your mental capital, your confidence, your focus, your emotional resilience. When the A+ setup finally arrives, you're fresh, you're clear-headed, you aren't reeling from 3 previous losses. You can strike with the full force of your account and your conviction. The trades you don't take are just as important to your long-term P&L as the trades you do take. Every time you filter out a garbage trade, you're effectively putting money back into your pocket. The discipline to wait is the ultimate edge. It is the only edge that the market cannot arbitrage away because it is based on self-mastery, not a technical indicator. Ultimately, this journey is about shifting which side of the table you are sitting on. The amateur trader is the gambler on the floor. They're addicted to the action, driven by hope and fear, praying for a lucky streak. They're the ones feeding the machine. The professional trader, the one who knows how to wait, is the casino. The casino doesn't need to win every hand. They don't get emotional when a player hits a jackpot. They don't feel FOMO. They know the math. They know that they have a slight statistical edge, and if they just keep the doors open and let the games play out over thousands of iterations, they will end up with all the money. When you wait for your A+ setup, you're acting like the casino. You're refusing to play until the odds are tilted in your favor. You're letting the desperate gamblers, the ones who can't sit still, provide the liquidity for your perfect trades. Stop being the gambler. Become the house. It's a boring life compared to the casino floor, but the house always wins in the end. The choice is yours. You can have excitement or you can have success. You cannot have both.